Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Four Downs podcast. I'm OV1, and you are tuning in to 4downs3counts.com. That is the updated website for both the podcast of the HHW show and All Four Downs. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the updated college football top 25 rankings, updated news, predictions, and much, much more. So stay tuned because we got it all covered here. That's right. OV1 in the house, and it's college football week 14, the rivalry week. And we'll move on to first down. We'll start right away. Reactions to the college football top 25. If you missed it, you can catch it right here. And of course, you can always look it up on social media. But hey, the rules of the 12-team college football playoffs is 12 teams are participating teams. 5 highest ranked conference champions will automatically be in, followed by the next 7 highest ranked teams. The 4 highest ranked teams will be seeded 1 through 4 and receive a first round bye. And then the 8 team seeded numbers 5 through 12 will play in the first round with the higher seeds hosting a whole game. And with that in mind, that reminds you that it is not automatic for the top 4 for a conference champion. The conference champions on the 5 highest ranked will seeded properly, right? So it's not like last year where conference champions automatically have a bye week. It is the college football committee, the way they're ranked 1 through 25, the top 4 will automatically have a bye and then everybody else in, which is almost like a wild card to pretty much. And there's a certain conference that are playing a wild card. I'm going to cover that momentarily. So looking and updating on the top 25 announced earlier today, 21 through 25, SMU, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Arizona. Arizona is new to me, in my opinion. I did not have them in the top 25, but they're outside looking into the rankings. But Arizona at 8-3 made it to the 25. I do believe that Tulane at this moment are underrated in the college football committee's eyes. I believe they should be ranked just slightly a little higher. Georgia Tech is in that window and Pittsburgh in that window, but SMU, in my opinion, has been ranked. And I think that they're underappreciated in the top 25. They're hot. Yeah, they're 8-3, but they come around. And if you remember last year, they were hot in their first year in the ACC. And already right now, they're in the contentions, right, to enter back in the ACC championship. So another win, and they're in with the help of another team. That's right. We'll get there too. All right. But SMU to me is the hottest team right now that no one's talking about them. Okay. Yeah, they're ranked now, but I got a feeling that they can make a major upset with that. Okay. And I'm going to cover the ACC and pretty much all the powerhouse conferences, and we'll break it down to you. Let's move on to 16 to 20. Texas, USC, Virginia, Tennessee, and Arizona State. In my notes here, I think USC is overrated. I think they should have dropped even further down. Okay. Not doing so well against top 25 opponents. Tennessee, overrated. I mean, they got losing records in the top 25, yet they're squeezing in there, which I do believe that it's building a resume for other teams to validate that they belong in the college football playoffs. And then there's Arizona State at 8-3, just about right. I'm not going to contest to that. For me, the biggest thing is Texas. They're playing Texas A&M. It's a rivalry game. And imagine if Texas Longhorns do upset Texas A&M. I mean, they did defeat them last year. I mean, and I understand that was last year, and they did it at College Station, but now they're going to Texas. So it's pretty interesting to see how this outcome will be. I do expect a rivalry, a fighting hard all the way. This is not going to be a blowout. This is a rivalry that you must watch, man. I'm telling you right now. But I'm liking it. But I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas pulls it off. And the way I've been seeing Texas A&M play in the last few weeks, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas wins. You could say what A&M has or what the Aggies have, and then we're going to talk about them in the rankings because they're ranked higher up. But like every week or so, this year's college football has so many surprises. It was so much surprise that even whoever was the number 2 team was losing, right? Big surprise there, right? Penn State, automatically they just dropped and never been seen again. But hey, that's another story. 11-15. I got they have BYU, Miami, Utah, Vanderbilt, and Michigan. I believe BYU is underrated right now. I think they should be ranked in the top 10. Very deserving. I think they one hell of a game between them and Texas Tech. I do expect maybe a rematch between BYU and Texas Tech, but they're playing great football, especially in the Big 12. They're playing great football. It's a complete team that lost to Texas Tech, but they still a great team. I really do. Miami is getting hot right now. They are. They are hot. They're in there. But I'm still going to scratch my head as to why the committee still has Miami in the college football bracket. They're higher ranking, but they're not in the ACC playoffs. Just saying. Utah, just about right. I believe that. I like Vanderbilt and Michigan at number 15. Everyone's doubting Michigan for their rivalry week against Ohio State. It's unpredictable when it comes to rivalries. And this is what I love about college football, especially at the last game of the regular season. Anything could happen. It doesn't matter who got what because they're going to fight it out at the very end. 6 through 10, Oregon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama. Ole Miss took a drop, and I understand. Oregon played one hell of a game. They deserve to move up. Okay. Who else? However, with Oregon itself, and we'll look at number 5, which is Texas Tech. I had them flip-flop, Oregon and Texas Tech. I don't think it makes a big difference anyway, because if they finish at 5 or 6, they still hosting their home game. However, Oklahoma, I am questioning Oklahoma, and here's why. I love their defense. I think they got the best defense in college football. The way they've been playing, I'm fascinated how their secondaries are playing. I'm fascinated how they get through the quarterback. But what I'm not fascinating is the offense. It's like every other week I get to see that offense play. They come and they go. They come and they go. They're not that consistent in the offense, and they rely a lot with that defense. Notre Dame's questionable. Yeah, I understand that. I don't even know why is there a debate between Notre Dame and Miami, but I want to point something out to you because Notre Dame lost their first 2 games of the regular season, but they were playing high-ranked opponents at that particular time. And it's not like Notre Dame got blown out. It was great games. And then all of a sudden they got their groove. They won 9 in a row. But Miami, on the other hand, just to end the debate here, Miami lost to SMU. Oh, by the way, SMU is in the picture to make it to the ACC championship if the cards are dealt right, but not Miami. Y'all forgot about that. Why would you rank and put someone in the bracket that's not even in contention of fighting for their own conference? Just saying. I know, yeah, well, Notre Dame don't belong to nobody. You're right. Oklahoma is not in the playoff picture. You're right. But Oklahoma's been playing a lot of top 25 teams compared to Miami. Just saying. Yeah, Alabama's in contention of playing in they got to win against Auburn, right? A win and they're in. Because if they lose, then Georgia fits in the picture. Just saying. There's a lot of things going on here. Okay. Let me go back. All right, 1 through 5. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech. Top 4, same. Maybe I could argue if Georgia should be number 3 and Texas A&M number 4. But then again, Georgia needs help. because they're not in the SEC championship just yet, depending on the outcome between Texas A&M versus Texas and Alabama versus Auburn. But yet Georgia's number 4, playing great football, and they're getting to be a complete game. That offense is now clicking in. Before it was just defense, 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 and playing in the second half. Now they're playing all quarters. I think Georgia themselves and SMU are probably the most dangerous teams here in the top 25. Let's debate about Ohio State at number 1. Who have they played all season long? You can't count on Texas on week 1. That was a long time ago. People forgot about week 1. No one cares. It's all about how you finish and who are you playing against. And I got something in that. I really do. If anything, maybe I do expect Ohio State and Indiana in the Big Ten championship. But it's a rivalry week. And Ohio State got a hard task as they play Michigan this weekend. This is what it looks like right now in the college football playoff brackets, with Tulane versus Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Miami and Oregon, and then Alabama and Ole Miss. Wow, that's a great game right there. But with Miami, listen, I don't understand why they're still listed there. Why are you going to wait after the ACC championship and then replace Miami? Or is it that you think Miami will win this weekend against Pittsburgh, and then they'll jump up and be contentious in the playoffs? So, in other words, should they beat Pittsburgh, you're expecting Miami to be in the top 10, maybe in the 8 or 9 rankings and stuff like that. Probably so. Or maybe if you beat Pittsburgh, you could jump on top of Notre Dame. That's a great question. That's a good theory right there. I'm telling you, it is. Okay. But what if they don't? And then again, if Miami does win, then you're allowing SMU, when they win their game, to go against Virginia for the ACC championship. So is it possible that we may have 2 ACC teams in it? Let's put it that way. Okay. And then again, out of these top 12 teams, right, that you see there in the bracket, which ones are not going to make it? If Alabama loses to Auburn, you know Alabama's out. Ole Miss to lose against Mississippi State, I'm going to scratch my head. I don't see that happening. Mississippi State, really? The weakest team in the SEC? I doubt it. And then their head coach. We're going to talk about head coach on my final whistle. All right? If Oklahoma loses? Nah, I don't see that happening. I don't know. A Notre Dame playing a weak opponent. Yeah. Tulane, they got to win it to be in the American Conference Championship. If not, could Navy just jump in there? Let's put some respect on our military. Okay? No love for Navy, but imagine if Navy does go all the way. It's fascinating how everything is turning out to be on the last week of the regular season. Let's move on to second down. All right, some sad news here and terrible news, because WBRC reported and confirmed that Daniel Mincy was taken into custody by UAB campus police on Saturday, Jefferson County Jail. All right. It just happens that he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to stab a couple of my teammates. And now he is getting charged for attempted murder and everything else. Last thing I checked is that Mr. Mincy himself is probably now no longer in the team. And it is what it is. There are other factors into this, because I think there's others that were arrested. But the Blazers lost 48-18 to South Florida to fall to 3-8 on the season, 1-6 in the American Conference. And even that, because that happened the morning of the football game, and yet the teams continued to play. So props to the UAB football team. Other news, scratching my head. All right. I would like to go ahead and revisit this because we're talking about, the brackets and everything else and the strength of schedule that goes along with it, or the eye test. The Oregon Ducks head coach, Lanning, decided to make a statement. We didn't play Chattanooga State today, right? Like some other places. Lanning said in the post-game news conference, alluding to the SEC teams that scheduled non-conference games this week. We competed. It's tough playing 9 conference games. It's tough playing in this league. Let me tell you something. I think Dan Lanning, and like I said, this is my opinion, I do believe he overstepped his boundaries by talking smack. Because, like the SEC, they have the same schedule as the Big Ten. Okay? It just happened they flip flop. Let's talk about Oregon's schedule. You want to critique about other people playing weak teams in this era? Well, Oregon played a weak team to start the season. Can anybody tell me who's Montana State? Yet they won 59-13. They played a FBS team. No, I'll take it back. No, they didn't. It was Big Sky, which is not part of the regular conferences that, we all know to play. And yet you gave up 13 points while others, they've been playing and shutting out other opponents. But yet you want to critique the SEC. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Let's not go there that your team did lose to Indiana. Let's not go there. All right? Yeah. If I was the head coach, you should just stay in your lane. Talk about Oregon. Talk about this. I don't know why he mentioned it. If he was trying to get that boost for the rankings, it's just not just don't argue with that. And besides, look, it's not like the Big Ten is all that anyway. I mean, at least the SEC, they have more teams in the top 25 because they play well. Can't say that for the Big Ten. But let's do some comparison because look at Ohio State. They played Grambling, okay? Shut them out 70-0. They played Ohio. They played I don't even know if you want to include Texas into this because they dropped, they went up, they're all over the place. Okay. You play Minnesota, one of the weak teams in the Big Ten. So there's a lot going on with Ohio State and who they play against. Who's Illinois? Illinois shouldn't even be ranked in the top 25. It's just embarrassing. They pop up a little bit, then they disappear. Let's look at Michigan. If anything, I respect more Michigan's schedule because they didn't shy away from nobody. All their opponents are legit in regular conferences. USC, let's take a look at there. Oh, Georgia Southern, Missouri State. Okay, they play regular teams. How about Indiana? Old Dominion, Kennesaw State at the beginning. Yeah, talk about him. He made some comments about it too. Let's look at the SEC. Yeah. Georgia, Austin Peay. Oh, they're still part of the conference, right? They didn't shy away. They play Charlotte. Yeah, they play Charlotte. But man, where's Chattanooga at? I don't know. Or Citadel. Ole Miss plays Citadel. Who else? Like I'm just looking to see what's his point of view on all this because, as a matter of fact, everybody's playing almost the same type of schedule. Yeah. I just don't like Oregon right now. I don't like that head coach. Keep your mouth closed. Just saying. And amongst all that, the Indiana head coach made it really, make common sense because he says the Hoosiers were propelled into the bracket last season and a comfortable wins in nearly every game in the regular season schedule that saw them only play one ranked team, which is Ohio State, right? And he went on to say that it only gets easier by going out of conference schedule, right? Choosing who you should beat. And that's how you get recognized. Because when you play those schools that need money, you blow them out, it gets people attention like, oh, look at here. This is what's going on. So when you guys plan your schedules, let's do this. Let's make it just like college basketball. You know how college basketball got that 1 week with a conference versus a conference, and just for shits and giggles, like they just go with the flow, right? Because they do play a lot of games. They do, right? I believe it was 29 games plus they add like invitations and stuff like that. What if in college football, rather is week 1 or week 2, that you mandate a conference versus a conference? Like this conference, like you select 8 teams versus 8 teams from the other conference and just battle to see who is the better conference. I think that's a great idea. And on top of that, the most that have invested in this is the SEC and the Big Ten. We should have a rivalry week, SEC versus Big Ten for 1 week. Make it mandatory. That will stop all that conversation. But the question is, will they do that? Will everyone invested in scheduling be involved to do that? Or is it, oh, well, you know what? We'll schedule it, but it won't start like 5, 6 years from now. For that, who cares? If you're able to make changes immediately in the college football playoffs, then you guys could eventually make some changes immediately and drop teams and make it mandatory either week 1 or week 2, and just have a SEC versus a Big Ten matchup. And that way it shuts everybody up. Then you could brag and talk whatever it is all season long until we get to the college football bracket and then have more debates. What do you think about that? I'm all in. I love action. Other news, Florida State coach Mike Norvell will return to head coaching job. Back-to-back years. Yep, ever since he came close of becoming undefeated and everything else and didn't even make it to the college football playoffs, things didn't look well. Didn't look well this year either. They started hot and then just sank ship. Kind of remind me of Texas a little bit. Yeah. And then we have Lane Kiffin. It's the big news. Which school is he going to? Is this the right time to do it? Former Alabama coach Nick Saban proposed an idea that during his segment on College Game Day that would solve the issue. He proposes that teams holding off interviews with college coaches for openings until after their season is over, which is how the NFL handles it. It's a great idea and one that fits the current mold of college football. The once amateur sport is heading more of being a developmental league for the NFL, so why not adopt some of its rules? I agree. I do agree because the fact is, Ole Miss is in the playoff picture. So why are we making decisions right after the regular season, which you still look, bowl games and everything else is in December and January. So why are we talking about coaches? If you decide to fire a coach middle of the season, hey, that's your organization's fault. And I'm looking at you, Florida. I'm looking at you, LSU, and especially LSU that want to bring politics into all this. Got the governor getting involved. Come on now. You need to ease the noise and allow these coaches coach. I mean, that's why they got a job, right? They're getting paid millions of dollars to handle their business for that particular school. You couldn't wait just end of the season and then talk about it? That's a big distraction. And if I was a player in Ole Miss, I don't even know if I want to play or not. Is my coach going to stick around with me? Is he going to help me, prevail and get better and better so I could get ready for the NFL? Or do I need to look somewhere else in the transfer portal? Real talk. And speaking about Lane Kiffin, if I was him, I would stay in Ole Miss. Why would I want to go to Florida, which they always bounce around different head coaches? Why would I want to go to LSU and look how they're treating Brian Kelly? Even though Brian Kelly did it to himself, he should have stayed at Notre Dame. But hey, that's another thing. But if you look at Lane Kiffin's resume, he started off with Tennessee, went to USC, had a falling out with USC, Florida Atlantic. He rebounded after he was the offensive coordinator in Alabama. And now with Ole Miss, he's having the best life in Ole Miss. 3 years in a row, winning over 10 games. And for the first time, he's in a college football playoff picture. So why don't you just stay right there? I think it's best fitting. Or is he playing him? Is this whole thing a hoax? More to follow in my final whistle. Let's move on to third down because I'm gonna break down the conferences right now. Okay, and I'll start with American Athletics. They got 5 games going on this weekend. That's valuable. Okay, and I'm start off with Thursday's game on Thanksgiving. Navy goes on the road against Memphis. I am choosing not Memphis, Navy to defeat Memphis. It's a long shot, but man, Navy, they come around back-to-back years. They're having winning seasons, and I got a feeling Navy will pull it out. Let's go, Navy. Represent the military. All right, even though I'm gonna hate you when you play against my army, but for this one, definitely Navy. I want someone to represent and go to the college football playoffs, man. All right. I have Temple upsetting North Texas. That's crazy, right? Tulane to defeat Charlotte, and South Florida to defeat Rice, and East Carolina to defeat Florida Atlantic. And with all said and done, I am predicting that Navy versus Tulane will happen in the American Athletic Conference Championship. I really do. And that will settle the score whether or not Tulane does deserve to be the number 12 team in the bracket, or you could squeeze in Navy in there. I'm loving it. Oh, yeah. I know it's a long shot, but if North Texas does defeat Temple, then I can't say much, right? Then it is what it is. But it's interesting to see that all these teams are playing different people, and neither one of them going head to head in the brackets. That's crazy, right? But I do predict Navy and Tulane. Let's move on to the ACC. You ready? Wow, 4 games, and the most intriguing one of them all is Miami versus Pittsburgh, and Miami is going to be at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's hot right now. But can Miami? They're doing very well right now. The last couple of weeks, right? They look like they turned things around, but when they suffer those 2 losses, it let me scratching my head like, yo, what's going on? Like, you saw Carson Bent making a lot of mistakes. You seen him turning over the ball. You see guys not running routes correctly. It's crazy. Okay. Miami needs to beat Pittsburgh and Duke to lose to Wake Forest, or Virginia Tech win over Virginia. There's a lot of combinations for Miami to get into the ACC championship, but most likely it's not going to happen. Wake Forest. I'm predicting Wake Forest to upset Duke. Can't figure Duke is in the picture here at 5-2. Virginia Tech. I am picking an upset alert here. Virginia Tech to beat Virginia. I do. But I also have SMU. No one's really talking about them that much. But SMU defeating California. And with that, okay, I think I got my stuff a little bit weird here. It could be a possibility, right, that we could see Pittsburgh versus SMU in the ACC championship. That is my prediction. I know my stars don't align up the way it's supposed to be. I should have put a little bit closer. But SMU versus Pittsburgh for the ACC championship. That would be a process of elimination. This is the playoffs now. Okay? But other people's eyes, they do believe that Virginia will be the winner in this conference. I just don't believe it. Move on to the Big 12. More simpler. Very, very simple, right? Texas Tech beats West Virginia in. Who else? BYU are hosting the game against UCF. I just don't see BYU losing at home. And for that, we're going to see a rematch, Texas Tech versus BYU for the Big 12 championship. Others, I got Utah over Kansas and Arizona State over Arizona. That's a great rivalry. Great game to watch. Both these teams 8-3, 1 game difference in the conference games, but that will be awesome to see Friday night. You got to check that out. I move on to Big 10. Woohoo, man. It gets interesting. Look, everyone thinks Ohio State and Indiana are automatically in. They're going to play in the Big 10 conference championship, and the winner will go all the way through. Ohio State's like the king of everything, right? I am sorry. until I see Ohio State beat Michigan, maybe. Okay. Everyone's rooting for Ohio State. They got all these players. Michigan got nothing. This game means more to Michigan than what it does to Ohio State, in a sense. Michigan got to prove themselves that because of their history, maybe that cheating scandal, that was that an advantage for Michigan to beat all these opponents, taking pictures, stealing signs, all that good stuff, right? But for Ohio State, if they win, it's like, hey, I told you so. Michigan's garbage, right? But Ryan Day has difficulties beating Michigan. Can this be the year that Ohio State will be able to beat Michigan? Last year, Michigan beat Ohio State in Ohio State. And remember the police officers using pepper spray and everything at Michigan? Man, I will use that. Hell yeah, I will use that. And don't take Michigan lightly, all right? They're coming around at the right time and still got a chance. But here's the kicker here. With me picking Michigan to upset Ohio State, I also have Oregon beating Washington, which, by the way, Washington knows how to play Oregon. All right. And I got Indiana beating Purdue. And in that case, I have Indiana versus Oregon for the Big Ten championship. What's going to happen with Ohio State? I would hope that they get booted out of the top, or at least the top 5. That's just me. But I don't think that's going to happen. Moving on to the SEC. Here's another interesting one. Texas A&M going against Texas. Yeah, I do got Texas upsetting Texas A&M. Call me crazy, I know. Georgia is out of the picture right now because they played all their SEC games. They're waiting to see either A&M or Alabama lose. Okay. Yeah, they're at second, but technically Georgia really does go underneath Alabama. If Alabama loses to Auburn, like I'm predicting to be, now I'm being a hater. And Auburn is, even though 1-6 in the SEC, but they're playing hard. Okay. They're not getting blown out. They're playing great football. They just got bad luck. But could their luck be in their way when Alabama goes to town and play Auburn? Short distance. But man, I would love to see that upset. Again, Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. That's I'm gonna say it. Yeah, guarantee win. I hope I don't bite my tongue on that one. But at the end, I would love to see Georgia versus Ole Miss and the SEC championship. But realistically, it might be the Aggies versus Alabama. But it's a long shot. It really is. But with Georgia winning and defeating Georgia Tech, which is a ranked opponent, I do foresee that Georgia stays in the top 4 and have a bye week like they did last year. Just saying. All right, moving on to 4th down. Here are my picks for this week. My top 6 that I'm going on DraftKings. I am taking Georgia. I'm taking the points for Auburn. I am taking the points for Michigan. I'm taking the points for Miami. If Miami's favorite, I guess so. But, man, that's going to be a tough game against Pittsburgh. Vanderbilt. Absolutely, I'm taking Vanderbilt. And I am taking the upset special here. Virginia Tech to defeat Virginia. Those are my top six. What are your top 6 games this weekend? And which one is your favorite rivalry game moving on? And, Thanksgiving weekend, man, it's going to be a festival each day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Can't wait. All right, moving on to my final whistle. And yeah, I'm going to talk about him. Lane Kiffin. Is this a hoax? And I'm going to finish off my rant. Excuse me, not my rent. I already not paying that. No. Mortgage, yeah. All right. But it's not a hoax. No. But it's a classic Coach Carousel leverage. And Lane Kiffin has mastered the game for 13 plus years already. Coaches rarely say I'm staying before the rivalry game, before contract talks finalize, or before postseason positioning is set. Silence equals power. And Kiffin is one of the biggest names athletic directors love to float to excite boosters, even if there's zero real movement happening. Every year you get to hear Lane Kiffin. But realistically, he shouldn't. He shouldn't leave. And the odds overwhelmingly suggest he won't. But then again, anything can happen, right? Ole Miss gives him a proven system, a playoff caliber roster, a 10-win machine, which is 3 straight seasons, a complete control of the program. He has a massive fan booster support, a path to the college football playoffs right now, zero rebuilding phase, and a chance to win an SEC with a new expanded field. Florida and LSU, man, both are messy rebuilds with higher expectation and less patience. Let me break things down for you for Lane Kiffin. Ready? He already coached in the NFL, was fired by the Oakland Raiders. Tennessee left after 1 season. Remember Tennessee Volunteers? Yeah. The USC fired. Straight up, a lot of drama over there. Got fired. Alabama, OC under Nick Saban. That's where he rebuilt himself. He coached Florida Atlantic and then moved on to the Ole Miss job. He found some stability. His success for Ole Miss is so fantastic. But why go to Florida? Man, Florida has gone through 4 head coaches, 4 interim head coaches, all that since 2008. That's 8 coaches right there. Man, it's a lot of, man, that place is fractured. And then there's LSU. LSU is a national brand. Congratulations, right? Because champions come from LSU. At least every head coach minus Brian Kelly. But there's a lot of political chaotic mess over there. Even though the booster is heavy, they got to find an athletic director. The governor of that state always criticizes. There's still a lawsuit going on between Brian Kelly and LSU. And even though, there is expectation to win it every single year, but don't like all the fan base want their teams to win every single year? I mean, I know Ohio State, whatever. But the fan base measures success. They want LSU to beat Alabama. They want LSU to beat all these teams. And maybe so, Lane Kiffin might be the guy. He has it all. But if you already settled and made an organizational great, and to make it even greater, I do see the peak of Ole Miss running SEC. I see Ole Miss on top of the SEC with more time. And the only hiccup right there, to be honest with you, Alabama's always going to be Alabama. Roll Tide. But really the team to beat is Georgia. Kirby Smart. That's the team you got to beat now. Not so much of Alabama. And Lane Kiffin came close this year. He came close last year. You know, they say third time is a charm, and he could do it. But why don't you put yourself in a situation where you have all the cards in your favor at home at Ole Miss, an organization that's willing to pay you even more? So, Kiffin, in my opinion, I think he's staying. I think he's playing the game. I believe it's just really, I'm hoping that Florida and LSU got a backup plan if Lane Kiffin says he's not going anywhere. So, Lane Kiffin staying at Ole Miss makes the most football sense, the most career sense, and the most financial sense. After all, it only helps the media talk about it more and more and more, distract others for what they really need to be focused on. And that is my final whistle, my final message here on All Four Downs. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments below. How do you feel about Lane Kiffin? How do you feel about the college football rankings? How do you feel how everything's going to play out after this weekend? I would like to know more. Thank you for your support. And once again, you listen to the All Four Downs podcast on 4downs3counts.com. Until next week, please, everyone, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner. And let's enjoy some football. Oh, yeah, baby. Take care.